Exactly.
He's bounding and glad to meet you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2, and on my left is Commissioner Aaron Mays, who represents District 3, and I'm Bill Rippon, and I represent District 1. So, good morning.
Morning. Morning.
What's first?
Happy President's Day.
Very good, thank you.
I just wanted,
President's
I
Day.
heard on the way in this morning somebody actually had some, they said President's Day is the nerds' Super Bowl. And the person they were interviewing said he actually had some nachos that were called Andrew Jackson nachos or something. So I'll give you the recipe if you want. I'm going, that's way too dirty for me.
Okay.
Even for me. Consent agenda, item 3.
There are no words.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk's number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $1,783,238.57. The highlights out of the voucher report, we have holding accounts with the state of Kansas that make up $754,201.51, followed by a county project of $204,402. That is for the hyperconvergence for the IT department. Out of the IT department, there was an additional $83,460.99 for updates that they have been working on. Our health insurance premiums for the county employees, $147,010.60. Equipment fund, $141,858, and that is primarily for the county, the equipment fund. It's Axon cameras and such, and then also we have for the sewer district $108,229.79. I do not have any questions and would move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move that we approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A3, consider approval of resolution number 2020-13, authorizing a cereal malt beverage license for Great Life at Safari Golf located at 7523 Southwest 21st Street. And this is obviously cereal malt beverage and has been reviewed by the Counselor's Office. The townships have been notified, and there was a KVI investigation, and the health inspection was performed. Everything is in order, and I recommend approval for this.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for one employee to attend the 2020 International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association Conference and Expo at a cost of $2,343, and authorization and execution of contract C46-2020 tuition and education training expense request.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is a request for one of our employees who happens to be our firearms instructor, lead instructor, to fulfill his continuing education and to become fully certified in the handling of weapons, teaching, and to provide the firearms. This training here is in St. Louis. This is an annual training that we have sent, that he has gone to before. It is very good training. This is a full 5 days of training. He'll be in training from 8 to 5 every day on the handling of weapons to be able to train. Be much more expensive to send everybody out. He comes back and trains our trainers. But we've found great success with this training. This is highly used by law enforcement agencies, and we do have the money for this in our budget, and I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item, please,
Thank you.
Ron.
Item C, Public Works. Number 1, consider approval of request to exchange federal funds under the Federal Aid Exchange, our Federal Aid Fund Exchange Master Agreement in an amount of $812,879.51, with the exchange rate for 2020 being 90 cents, state funds for every $1 of local federal obligation authority funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works, and welcome back, Aaron. Yes, this is our annual request to exchange $813,000 of federal funds for approximately $731,000 in state funds. We like the state funds because there's less strings attached to it. We have more flexibility in how we use the state funds. And through some kind of rough calculations done in the past, it's been shown that we can actually save money to the Shawnee County taxpayer by using those state funds at that ratio of 90 cents state funds, $1 federal funds. So again, we're requesting that you approve that exchange for this year.
Bill, last week or a week before, you were talking to us about our federal funds and how we've seen a decrease in those federal funds over the last couple years. Today we're talking about $812,000. How does that compare with years past?
Well, the program approximately started in 2014, and that first year we received, this was before the 90-10 exchange, but we received $1.2 million. And from there to 2016, it went up to $1.3 million. And from 2016 through 2020, it has dropped continuously since then. In 2018, we took a double hit in that we had a drop in the federal dollars, but also the exchange rate dropped from 75.25. That was for 1 year only, and then in 2019, it was restored to the traditional 90-10. So that gives you an idea. I think basically we've lost $500,000 between 2016 and now.
Now, a lot of our county infrastructure, large projects are funded through the half-cent sales tax revenue that we receive. If we hadn't passed, or if there was not that half-cent sales tax, what would have been the impact to Shawnee County?
Well, right now, the half-cent sales tax provides approximately $1.3 million in annual funds that we can use to build road and bridges. That's a substantial amount of money for Shawnee County. So without that program, we would be significantly hamstrung in what we can accomplish. The money is actually well over $2 million that we get from the sales tax program, but we have to remember that we're paying back a 10-year loan to KDOT, a no-interest loan for the Carlson Road Bridge. That repayment amounts to $850,000 a year, and I think this year will be the third of 10 repayments. So to summarize, it would be a tremendous handicap if we didn't have that half-cent sales tax program.
So just doing some quick math, approximately a third of our annual funds comes from the feds, and then 2/3 comes from the half-cent sales tax?
Yes, you could say that, but don't forget we funds that we don't obligate in a year, we can turn those into project funds the following year. So I don't know yet what the funds will be left over from 2019, but we anticipate approximately $1.5 million. I think it's safe to say that those funds again will be used to buy equipment, to build bridges, and to construct roads. And then don't forget we have $650,000 from our budget, traditional federal matching funds that we can use to build roads and bridges.
Do we have any input with the federal government as to why the amount that we've been receiving is going down?
I contacted the Bureau of Local Projects with KDOT, and they provided me a written statement. I be honest here that there's some of this that I don't fully understand, but really what it comes down to is KDOT is, the funds are made available by the federal highway people. KDOT has really no input on those amounts. They change from year to year. Once the funds are known, KDOT takes some money off the top for off-system bridge inspection program, the bridge load rating program, and federally participating special bridge inspections. So all that money comes off the top before Shawnee County sees what they're going to get. And the ratios that maybe Shawnee County gets versus other counties in Kansas, that might vary from year to year because it's based on vehicle miles traveled, vehicle registrations, total road miles, et cetera, et cetera. So there's probably a number of reasons why funds have dropped from year to year. I suspect it's a combination of things. Federal dollars that are provided to KDOT for this program have lessened, and it just starts from there.
Okay, thank you.
Kurt, when will we know what our funds will be for next year? How much lead time do we have?
When you say funds, are you talking about these federal exchange dollars? Typically, we find out what these dollars are in the spring. This year was a little earlier than last year. And for federal fiscal year, I think 2020, we just found out, and that's why I'm before you asking to exchange those dollars.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Next item.
Item D, Facilities Maintenance, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit proposals to upgrade digital HVAC control systems and associated software at the courthouse, with funding to be from the 2020 capital outlay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This item was approved in the 2020 capital outlay. The control system for our HVAC system here at the courthouse was put in 2008 with some of the modernization and things that were done through the Exxon ESCO that came through at that time. That software that controls that is no longer supported, and the digital controls that we do have, some of them are failing at a fairly regular rate now, so this would upgrade our digital control systems. My hope is the RFP we're putting together on that would eliminate all of the remaining pneumatic controls that we have, which we have a mix right now of digital and pneumatic, would make us 100% digital. And this RFP would go out to control companies and mechanical contractors and see what they can come back with.
Any questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item D2, consider approval of request to solicit proposals to provide elevator modernization and upgrades to the inmate elevator at the courthouse.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. Last year, we did an RFP for the inmate elevator, and when the bids came back, we didn't have near enough money budgeted for that modernization. We've increased the funding on that through the 2020 capital outlay and some other sources to see if we're going to have enough this year. We need to get the RFP. I'm pretty sure we will. Did modify some of the specifications on that proposal for the inmate elevator. It's a critical elevator for us right now because it's for safety for public, safety for the inmates, safety for the corrections officers, and need to get forward and get moving on that before that elevator decides to give up the ghost. It's been about 30 years since we've had anything done with that.
Key part of the courthouse, and I'll move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item E, Solid Waste, number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid to Vanco Construction for the construction of a 75 by 50 foot concrete pad with precast block bunker or use as a glass recycling pad at the north annex.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. Back on January 6th, came in front of the Commission, request permission to go out for quotations for the construction of a concrete pad with a precast bunker for use as a glass recycling program. As a result, 8 bids were received, with Vanco Construction out of Manhattan, Kansas being the most responsive and lowest bidder, with a lump sum bid of $41,509 to perform all work necessary to complete this project. This has been reviewed by the PSC and also working with Kurt Niehaus and the Public Works Commission or Public Works Department. So as a result, we are requesting permission to award the bid to Vanco Construction for the 75 by 50 concrete pad with the precast bunker up at the north annex. Funding will come out of the solid waste operational budget, which is 100% user fee funded and not taxpayer supported. Subject to questions, Commissioners.
Questions?
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item F, Stormont Vale Event Center. Number 1, consider approval of request to issue a request for proposal for masking curtains in Land and Arena with funding from the Stormont Vale Events Center Renovation Financing Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Inspector of Venue Management in the Stormont Vale Event Center. The request before you today is a request to enter an RFP for upper balcony masking curtains in Landon Arena. A number of factors that go into this request, as this is something that we are trying to work into the renovation project. It currently is slated as an add alternate item. One of the benefits, and there's a number of them, but one of the main benefits for adding the masking balcony curtains in the arena is the reduction of sound bounce from the stage to the upper balcony when we have events that don't utilize seating in the upper balcony. That's most of our family show content, like Paw Patrol and Baby Shark and Disney and Cirque du Soleil and Harlem Globetrotters, and the list goes on and on. What that allows the sound to do is be retained to the lower bowl section, as well as the suite areas and the new premium seat areas of the facility. There is money in the renovation project for this, so looking to get an RFP out for this process. We have a couple of bids in from the renovation project through the construction manager on the project. We'd like the opportunity to make those bids a little bit more competitive. One of those bids was around $214, including installation and labor costs, and the other was upwards of $300. So we're trying to get this to where we can get a couple more vendors out there to bid on the project.
Kellen, can you just walk us through briefly? So are these going to be manually controlled curtains, digitally controlled curtains? Are you thinking it's just going to encapsulate the upper deck, and is it going to affect the spots that you have in the corners?
Yeah, so a couple answers there. One of the bids is for a manually operated product, and one of the bids is for a roll-up type drape product. I think the element that we have looked at that makes most sense for the operation of the building is a truss and motor system that allows us to take those curtains down, relocate them even into other facilities like Exhibition Hall to close off that space if there's events that aren't utilizing the entire square footprint of Exhibition Hall. So that's the system that we would like to look at. That's what will be noted on the RFP. In terms of functionality and operation, I mean, it's something that we'd like to have our staff on the install and our riggers that are on our payroll, helping and assisting with that installation, so that way they've got the institutional understanding of how to take that down and relocate it into other facilities. So.
How tall are these curtains? How long?
Well, each manufacturer's drape length and size is a little bit different, but roughly, just rough estimates, they're about 35 feet tall. The drape sections range in width from about 50 to 70 feet, depending on the manufacturer.
Opaque? I mean, be see-through?
No, these are a very heavy black curtaining system. It has to be a really heavy curtain to not allow that sound to permeate through the draping. So it's a pretty significantly weighted system. It takes about 360 linear feet of trussing and truss motors to bear that weight, and it's a pretty labor-intensive process, but one that certainly reaps a lot of benefit.
Sounds like a lot of weight hanging there. That's been checked out that we can support all that.
Yeah. Fortunately, the facility is pretty sturdily built in the rigging grid. We can support over about 120,000 pounds of flyable weight in the facility, which is a pretty substantial number.
With some of our events, such as the demolition derbies, where we have a lot of exhaust, is that going to be affecting the curtains?
Those curtains would be down for those events. So what we would do is, since those trusses and motors are hung in the steel, we can lower those, take the drapes off that, store those drapes in an area that they're not going to be getting dirty, exhaust fumes, and having to be laundered. This is specifically for events that don't utilize the upper balcony bowl system.
Kellen, I know that with the hockey rink, we talk about how much it costs to set it up and tear it down every time.
Yep.
Is this something that's going to be a large expense to put these up and take them back down?
Yeah, it'll be a fairly significant expense to operate the system itself. If we're taking those drapes down, putting them back up, most of those costs are costs that are assumed by either our rent agreement with the event producer or event promoter, or their what we call overhead or ancillary expenditures that are covered by their cost as the promoter.
And is that something that was taken into consideration when will be taken into consideration when determining the bids? So I guess if it costs a little bit more to get something that's easier, those labor hours can be factored in with deciding who gets the bid.
Sure, I think we can certainly look at all the options. I think the main thing is looking at a system that's both multifunctional and serves the purpose, though. So I think I encourage our team to look at the options that best fit the operational structure of the space, not necessarily the indirect staffing expense that it would be taken to utilize the system. So, but we'll certainly look at both options.
Any other questions?
I'll move for approval for the request for the proposals.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next item.
Item G, Parks and Recreation, number 1. Consider approval of a project budget in the amount of $77,378.75, with $6,901 from general funds, $48,461.50 from capital maintenance 3R funds, $19,441.25 from building maintenance funds, and $2,575 from the Parks for All Foundation to refresh the Crossover Tennis Complex with landscaping, concrete replacement, fencing, gates, black window screens, signage, and design architecture services for future planning of complex.
Good morning, Commissioner. Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. Before you today is we're asking your approval for the project budget for the Crossover Tennis Complex. This is basically the first phase. The second phase would be looking into the actual offices and the restrooms that need attention also. Basically, we're looking here at giving the whole complex a refreshed look. It's long overdue. We need to work on the landscaping. There's concrete replacement, gates, wind screens that the clerk had already mentioned. Along with that is the architect and engineer design fees that we have. As you're aware, this complex operates with a contract with Genesis, as long as a partnership with TTA that we are currently working on, and I'm very happy that we're progressing well with that, and we're looking at coming down here to address that in the next probably month or so. But with that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
I don't know if I have any questions for Randy, but I do think that Mr. Keeshan's in the audience, and maybe he might want to talk about the Topeka Tennis Association and some of the good that they do. I know Mr. Keeshan emails me frequently to talk to me about the great things of the Topeka Tennis Association.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Cook. We in the Topeka Tennis Association fully support this. We're having 5 sectional tournaments from the Missouri Valley, a 5-state area, come this year. And we've been working with Parks and Rec, Tim, Brian, Randy, Brian Falk, the architect. They've taken our input and are moving along, and we fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Randy. Thank you. Next item.
Item G2, consider approval of request to award the bid to MCON Inc. for dredging services at the Adventurous Cove swimming area at Lake Shawnee with funding not to exceed $33,880 and authorization and execution of contract C47-2020 for same.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is a request to go into a contract with MCON for the dredging at the Cove. They were the only bidder, but we did get phone calls from a few others. They asked some questions, and we just said you need to fill out the paperwork and send it in. And obviously, they didn't follow our direction, so we ended up with one bidder. But we do feel comfortable with MCON, and I'd stand for any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Timeline for this work. This is removing the plant material as well as the dredging in addition for, or preparation for Adventure Cove this summer.
Probably right after it's approved, I'll probably get a phone call with Tony, and we'll probably get started probably in the next day or so.
Okay. I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Sean. Next item.
Item G3, consider authorization and execution of contract C48-2020 with Heartland Works and USD 501 that sets out conditions for a client to learn work duties at the community centers or other park facilities, with USD 501 having the responsibility for all wages, benefits, and workers' compensation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. This is a great program and an example of us working together with the school district. This is a federally funded program. I believe Shawnee County Parks and Rec has been partnering with Heartland Works for nearly 20 years. We usually get 2 to 3 students every year for this project, and they can work up to 5.5 hours a day, and I believe it's about 27 hours a week. So we think it's beneficial, and we'd like to continue the relationship. So be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I'll move for approval. Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next.
Item G4, consider authorization and execution of contract C49-2020 with Shirley Construction for the restoration of the Ted Hensley Gardens pergola at Lake Shawnee with funding of $16,162 from the Capital Maintenance 3R Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Beaton, Horticulture Supervisor, Shawnee County Parks and Rec. Before you, I'm out here asking for your approval to award the bid to Shirley Construction for the restoration of the Ted Hensley Garden Pergola project at Lake Shawnee. There was 9 bids. Shirley Construction was the lowest, most responsive bidder out of the 9 bids we got for this project.
Any questions?
Timeline again for construction.
This will be completed before tulip time activities, so hopefully it'll be completed before April 10th.
What all does the pergola need? What type of work do we need to do on it?
The main structure of it, the metal posts are going to be staying. It's just all the wood, existing wood structure on the top part is going to be replaced and restored back to the original, using some smooth cedar lumber that was there to begin with.
What kind of shingles do we have on that?
There's no shingles, it's
No,
just,
It's just
vertical.
open.
Open.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll move for approval. Second.
Thank you.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you,
Next item.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Item G5, consider approval of request to award the bid to Kent Fence Company, Inc. for the replacement of fencing and gates at the Adventure Cove swim area, utilizing $17,805 of the Capital Maintenance 3R Fund, and authorization and execution of contract C50-2020 for same.
Good morning again, Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is an Adventure Cove item. It's with replacing the fence, and we went out for bids, and Kent Fencing was the lowest and most responsive, and they met all the specs that we had in there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Is this a solid fence, chain link, what kind of fence?
It's within our specs. It's the 6-foot black,
Black
that
chain
we have. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
How tall?
6 foot.
Now, weren't there problems with the previous fence being too flimsy and falling apart? Is this-
That was a, if I remember, like an aluminum type fence, basically where a kid could play Superman and just pull the bars across.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a little. This meets our specs that we have within our department.
Okay, so it's not going to be the same style of fence that was there
No.
before. Okay.
No.
I'd move to approve.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
John. Next item.
Item G6, consider an authorization and execution of contract C51-2020 with Media USA for hotel kiosks, which scroll ads to viewers at 4 local hotels at a cost of $1,200 with funding from the Parks and Rec operating budget.
Morning, Mike McLaughlin, Parks and Recreation. These are touchscreen kiosks that people who stay at hotels can touch and learn about local attractions. We are tied with Visit Topeka for the top number of touchers, top number of views at 54,300. So given that this is a captive audience of people looking for something to do at 3 hotels in the Stormont Vale Event Center, we think this is a good expenditure of some advertising dollars.
Where are these kiosks located in the hotels? Are they in the lobby or?
Yeah, the main lobby of the Capitol Plaza, the Ramada, and Holiday Inn.
Questions?
Move for approval. Second.
All right. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next item.
Item G7, consider approval of Lake Shawnee closings and restricted uses for 2020 necessary for preparations, operation, and concluding of special events and fishing programs held at Lake Shawnee.
Good morning again, Commissioner Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is the closings and the lake restrictions that we have. This item comes before you just because of the resolution that's in place, where you guys are the ones that can put the restrictions on the lake. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have with this item.
Questions? I will move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item H, Sheriff's Office, number 1, consider contracts C52-2020 and C53-2020, grant award of a DEA task force position for fiscal year 2020 in an amount of $24,809.
Good morning, Commissioners. Danny Lottridge, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. We are joining our federal partners, the DEA, with this HIDA task force. So these contracts, the monies are awarded for overtime reimbursement as well as for a vehicle the DEA will provide to our officer that is assigned to the task force. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Questions?
Move for approval. Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Okay, we take this time for any comment from department heads or the public on any subject.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oakes from the Health Department.
In July of 2018, we applied to become an accredited health department with the Public Health Accreditation Board. And this week is our accreditation site visit, so that will be Wednesday and Thursday. We have submitted 261 documents. Each one had its very own cover sheet. There was a lot of work to do. And so this is it. This is the big time when we really, hopefully, will pass this accreditation process and be done. We have lots of partners coming for our partner meeting. Director Cole, Dusty Nichols, Commissioner Cook will be involved in his very own session with the site visitors. So he's ready. So I just want to let you know we're in this final week of a almost 2-year process, and we hope that we are successful and we can become an accredited health department.
Thank you. No pressure.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeremy Myers, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. We do have about 7,000 pounds of trout coming this Saturday to Lake Shawnee. So there's going to be a public gathering on Saturday at the main boat ramp at noon. So we are excited for our partnership with Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism to provide this opportunity. The lake will be shut down for a week. We'll reopen back on February 29th, but 7,000 pounds of trout, and my daughter's excited. So. Thank you.
Kurt Neos, Director of Public Works. 2 items. First of all, we have a new noxious weed director starting this morning. He's presently in the orientation class that HR puts on for us. And I hope to bring him by to introduce him here later this week or early next week. The second item is I want to kind of give a heads up to the public that effective March 2nd, work on Southeast 29th will begin again. Traffic will be moving on the south side of Southeast 29th, so the contractor will be working on the north side. That means the intersection with Wittenberg Road will be closed and the entrance to Agrarian Acres will be closed. So that's an important announcement for the public to get ready for. A week from today, 4 message boards will be going up announcing those closures. So I'm just here 2 weeks early just to get the word out and stay ahead of this. Any questions real quick or anything?
So do we start detouring people all the way back to 21st Street before they get onto Wittenberg Road, or just is that just for?
People will just have to use, a detour, which will be maybe Croco Road, maybe 45th Street in California. They can still pass all the way through the project from Croco to California. It's just that if they had plans to get on I-70 via a Wittenberg Road, they're going to have to change their plans accordingly. And thank you. Oh, Karen, I'm sorry.
It's hard to believe that construction season is something we're already talking about, but how is this going to be an all-summer project? Or?
Yes, basically all summer, most of the year. We anticipate moving traffic to the north side of Southeast 29th in mid-July. And when that is done, the intersection with Wittenberg will open up, and the entrance to Agrarian Acres will also open up. They may not open up to full movements. It may be right in, right out, but they will be open to traffic. And again, that is tentatively scheduled for mid-July of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get out of here without a quick presentation. So, there's been a lot of excitement building over this. We're getting ready to send out our 2020 value notices. So I thought I'd give you a brief overview. The notices are going out this Friday, by the way. So overall, our value indications, we had a 3% overall total increase in our commercial market values and about a 4% on residential. Not all properties are going to see an increase. Here's our kind of a visual of our 2020 residential trend indications. Nice map give credit to Lee Allen for assisting with this each year. But kind of gives you a visual overview that majority of the north side is going to see 4% trends. The majority of the rest of the counties in that 3% range. We do have a 6% area there, and some 5s and such. And all this information is going to be posted to our website, so you can re-access this.
Mr. Chairman, Steve, can you maybe kind of break down what trend we're seeing here? Why is there such a disparity north of the river as opposed to south?
Well, I've heard it stated before by realtors also that the northern sector is seeing higher appreciation, higher sales prices. So it's moving a little bit faster than the southern portion in the inner city.
So this is primarily market-driven, where we see that there's a high demand for houses, residential houses north of the Kansas River?
That is correct. All of our information is market-driven. It's based on sales information. That's our goal, is to appraise things at what should be able to sell for. And we use sales information over the past year and a half, 2 years to help achieve that indication.
So it's Steve Bauman not sitting in his office saying we're going to promote, growth in North Shawnee County.
That is correct.
All right.
It's a good question.
What is the red area, the 6%?
I don't have that specific information with me, but I certainly can let you know what that is. Oh, I think I did look this up. It just happened to be a week or two ago. Those are condos, I believe.
Okay.
But I can get very specific with you if you'd like. Later, not now.
Yeah, I get it.
So here's some indications of what we're seeing. The sales have dropped this year from last year. Indication that the market's pretty tight. So we're having a supply issue. And we have for the last several years. Well, that didn't turn out the way I thought it would. So we had a increase in our median residential sale price, and this isn't necessarily a direct indication of what the market increase is doing, but it's certainly an indication that needs to be looked at. So this is just saying that more homes are selling higher than what they have the prior years. New home permits down again this year. We had 176 new home permits in the county, and that's another issue with supply. We're not building.
Mr. Chairman. Steve, so we do have these two correlations. We have houses going down, our supplies going down, prices going up. If you were a home builder, now's the time to start looking at Shawnee County as a whole?
Yes, I think so, but I think there might be some other counties around us that are potentially taking those construction workers from our county. I think that's probably a portion of why we're not seeing the building that what it appears we should be seeing. Johnson County, you can get more for a house than you can here. So I think their construction is, I would assume, I haven't checked on it yet, but I assume their construction is significantly higher than ours.
I know this correlates with the City of Topeka's discussion a week or so ago, where they're looking at trying to create growth in the city. But it looks like we should also be looking to try and create that same growth in the county.
Countywide, yes.
Especially north of the river.
So, in the new home permits, you said 176 in the county. Does that mean countywide or outside of the city limits?
Countywide.
Okay.
This does include the whole city and county and all of the smaller jurisdictions as well.
Does this include apartments as well? Or just-
No, these are
all
just
single-family?
single-family dwellings.
What about apartments? Is there a need for more apartments in this county, or do you get a feel for that?
I don't have a feel for that. There are new units going up. There's some out north going up, and I think there's a plan for some out west too. So I don't have the specific numbers of the demand on the apartments. Those values are trending upwards as well. So I'm guessing the apartment rents are going up. New commercial permits and additions, one more than the prior year, so that doesn't seem to be an issue, but we're also not seeing the large increase in commercial values as we are seeing in the residential side. We added just over $53 million in residential new construction. That would include apartments. Commercial new construction, about $39 million. Both of the residential new construction number is down over the prior year. The commercial new construction, I believe, is up a little bit. So this kind of gives an overview of our appraised values and the classifications. You can see that about 65% of our appraised values in Shawnee County are for residential purposes, 15% commercial, and a little bit higher, 16% exempt. So there's a good chunk that is exempt. Agricultural and farmstead take up very little of our entire base.
On that one, the exempt, do you have any kind of a gauge as to how that compares with other counties? I know it seems we're kind of a government town, and so it seems like per capita we have a lot more exempt properties than others. Do you have something to compare that to?
I can work on that. It would seem like we would have a higher percentage than other counties surrounding us, but I'll check into that and see if I can get you some numbers on it.
Okay, thanks.
So like I said, we're mailing value notices on the 21st. We will only mail those notices out that have had a change in assessed value or classification. This is done to save tax dollars. Back when our market was slower, it was a significant tax savings to the public. I would guess that since we started this process, estimate about $500,000 that we've saved by this process. So this year we're going to send about 62,000 notices. Approximately 80% of the properties in the county will see an increase in value. I've taken several phone calls already excited about that. They're looking forward to see that their values have increased. Had one person indicate that they weren't happy about their increase. And even though we're not mailing out notices, they will be available in a variety of ways. They can send us an email. We have email links on the website. They are available on our website. You can go click open one, print it off yourself, view it yourself, www.snco.us/AP. We will have our taxpayer assistance line open and available starting Friday. That number is 232-4461. You can call, ask questions. We'll set you up with an appraiser to discuss the value and how we arrived at it. You can schedule an appeal with that number, or you can get a value notice with that number. You can stop by our office. We'll print you one. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that people get a notice. Even if they did get one and they want another one, we can provide it. but we don't want to eliminate people by this process. So, and the key to this is you don't need to receive a notice in order to appeal your value. So if you're unhappy with your appraisal, you believe it's inaccurate, we're going to do what we can to make sure that we hear those issues. The last day to file an appeal at this informal level is March 23rd. Again, our phone lines are going to be open Friday, 232-4461, to speak with. Our first week, our appraisers are going to be answering the phone lines so that they get to talk to someone that's actually associated with setting these values. Beyond that, our appraisers will start hearings, and our clerical staff will be answering the phones, but they're very capable as well. We will still be available for questions at any time, actually. And then if by chance you missed the deadline to appeal at this informal level, you can still pay your taxes under protest in December. December 20th is the first half, and May 10th would be the second half, either one of those. So you'll have one option to appeal in those situations. Further questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Steve, I was recently at a banquet where a state representative was telling a farmer, there's no point in appealing, there's no point in even questioning the valuation. County appraisers just don't care. And I quickly said him wrong and explained, but what are some of the things that people might go through when they call your office? Are they looking at what their neighbor's property is valued at, what their actual property looks like? I mean, what are some of the things that might change the value?
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of everything, phone calls that we receive, but one of the biggest things that we see is issues with data. So, and all of our information, again, is out there on the website. We're trying to be as transparent and open as possible, and that in and of itself is a good quality control measure, because people can quality control the information that we have on their houses and their neighbors' houses. But you know, if we have the basement fully finished and it's not, that's going to affect the value. If there's a hidden defect inside the home that we're not aware of, that could affect the value, and that's something that we really should know about. So there's a multitude of things that could alter the opinion of value. And actually at our informal levels, where we get to sit down and talk with the people, we don't have a lot of hearings, but the ones we do, we have almost probably a 50% change rate based on the information that they've provided us.
So when Mr. Keeshan gets home today and gets that 6% increase, he should be calling your house.
Not my house. I mean, he can. I'll answer, but yeah, absolutely. If he believes it's not fair and accurate, I can tell you that we're very successful in our value indications with the accuracy and equitably. So, really happy with what our office has been able to achieve in the compliance ratings and the ratio standards.
But still, I mean, if people do call, there's about a 50% that will have some change in
Yes.
their value.
Yeah, and actually, we take a lot more phone calls than we set for hearings, and if we find something during that phone call that is incorrect, we can fix it even outside the hearing process.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Commissioner Mays, what have you been up to?
I don't have much to share.
Well, I know that I've picked on Mr. Keeshan a couple of times, but just really do want to thank for being here, everything that Topeka Tennis Association does. The work at Crossover is long overdue. It will be a great addition. But some of the things that Crossover does is they host tournaments for the high schools, high school regionals. It's always very active. It's a great facility, and it really does add economic value. I know that when the kids are staying there, they're putting money into the local economy, and so those are some of the emails that Mr. Keesham will share with us oftenly, telling us how many kids are coming to Topeka to play tennis. And so just want to thank the Topeka Tennis Association for everything they do.
The Tennis Association has always been good to put their money where their mouth is, too. They put a lot of their own money into the improvements out there, and we certainly appreciate that. So, thank you. Well, anything else?
No.
All right. I attended the Home Builders Association home show this weekend. It's well attended, and got a few good ideas that my wife's going to push on me for this summer to do. I escaped Shawnee County briefly this weekend and went to Carbondale to help them. They're wanting to do a skate park down there, so I guess I'm the local skate park expert. So went down there and talked to them about that, and it was fun to work with the skateboarders down there. When I worked with skateboarders in Topeka doing several different facilities, they were absolutely the best group of people to work with, those kids. I'm talking about the kids, because they were so honest with each other. They didn't play any games when we'd sit down and do design charrettes, and we hammered out designs that worked and everybody was happy with, and they're very good to work with. So anyway, what's next?
Item 6, executive session.
We do have a need for executive session, so I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss one item. Consultation with attorneys for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, specifically to discuss pending litigation. No action is expected at this time. Second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. We're now in executive session. Yes, ma'am.
I'm maybe